Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week, we review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course, our fellow podcasters. Check us out on the web at nomcastpod.com. Follow us on the socials at nomcastpod. And most importantly, listen and subscribe to us wherever you get podcasts. Hit that beat one time.
Forgotten Cinema is getting romantic for our 8th season and just in time for Valentine's Day as we cover the 90s ensemble drama, Beautiful Girls.
We'll then do a complete 180 as we dive into some spy films, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and Spy Game.
We'll find out why white men can't jump and whether you should shoot to kill while enjoying a Frankenweenie. Nope, that doesn't make any sense.
You know what else doesn't make sense? This season will also feature our 100th episode of Forgotten Cinema.
Feels like 100 years.
Don't I know it?
Forgotten Cinema. Never stop, never stopping. Yes, that's a hint. Part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Pat Whalen.
Pat is a lifelong comic book geek.
And Mike is a filmmaker and storyteller.
So naturally, a bulk of our conversations surround the world of the Marvel movies. Some consider the MCU one of the greatest achievements in modern-day filmmaking, and others just think they're comic book movies. Each episode will tackle one film and discuss the differences between the comic book and what's on screen. We'll explore the growth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from its inception to present day and beyond, and have a little fun along the way. You may not have asked for it, you certainly don't need it, but you'll be happy we're here, we think. This is yet another MCU podcast. Pat, there's 153,000 ways this podcast could go, but we only need one way to go. And for that, oh, hang on. For that, you need to die. How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. We're in the Endgame now, Mike.
The penultimate episode of the
Infinity Saga.
Of the Infinity Saga.
This doesn't end. Let's make sure everybody's clear about that.
Right. Well, we're yes, correct. The Infinity Saga is where we are ending, but I guess we're not ending. So that's probably accurate, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are doing Avengers Endgame today. Hopefully this won't be as long as the movie. We'll try to keep it brief, at least around an hour. Hopefully, I don't know. The movie was 3 hours plus. So, although on Disney Plus, it's like I think 10 minutes of the credits are just the credits for the people that are translating the movie for other languages, where it's the credits end and then you have that like 3 to 5 minute of just silence, and all you see is Dutch, German, Italian. These names.
This is a global phenomenon.
Well, that is accurate. Yes, absolutely. So as we like to do, we go through the movie first, and then we do the movie difference between the movie and the comics, and then of course movie and its place in the MCU. Which this is all chock full of place in the MCU, but really not much moving forward, I guess. Oh, yeah, a little,
not
but
really. There's a little bit, but not really.
Yeah. All right. So Avengers Endgame has a runtime of 181 minutes. Yes. Rated PG-13. Production budget of $356 million. Dear Lord. It came out on April 26, 2019. I did watch it, not opening day, but I watched it probably the morning before by myself in the IMAX theater. So suck it. Opening weekend, Pat, what do you think it made?
Oh, I don't remember. I knew this. I'm
going to give you a hint. Production budget was $356 million.
$356 million.
$357 million. Yes, you're off by one.
Which, if we're going back to our magic number, that is double the standard budget for most of the MCU films.
I've done no research here, so I don't know. But off the top of your head, what percentage of that production budget is talent?
Oh, I'd probably say half.
You think 50%?
Think so, yeah. Well, no. I think a lot of the talent probably gets paid in the back end. So on the box office.
Well, I'll give you this. This has to do with the production budget, but one of my notes here is that Hemsworth made $80 million off this movie alone. The way his deal was structured.
Yeah.
$80 million.
Wow. Good for him.
Right?
Yeah. Good for him.
All right, so domestic, it did $858 million. Worldwide, Pat, what do you think? I'm going to give you another shot at the worldwide gross. Total gross all over the place. Now, this is going to include, I'll give you a little hint. This is going to include the original release and the extended release, which was was released just because it wanted to beat out Titanic.
Right. So is this like 1.7 billion?
2.8 billion.
2.8.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that extended version came out, and it was because at the beginning, the first one, the original one, there was no mid credits, there was no end credit roll.
Right.
But when the extended came out, they added the scene that they cut out, which was with the Hulk, with Smart Hulk, as they call him, rescuing something or getting a phone call, which looks so stupid. I watched it with his giant iPhone. You got the Hulk or something like that. He gets a phone. Yeah, it's not good. They show the what did they show? They have a
Spider-Man teaser, right?
They have the opening of Spider-Man and I think they do a Stan Lee like retro. They do kind of like a thank you. They show all his cameos or something like that.
That's not.
So I mean, they do something like that. Yeah,
that's nice. And we are not huge fans of the Stan Lee cameos, but it's nice that they did that. But that is not enough to warrant me back in. Any of the things that you told me were not enough to warrant me back in the theater.
They added like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes of stuff in the actual. I can't tell you what it was because I don't know. Maybe I didn't bother to look. But anyways, so $2.8 billion worldwide. Now you have the Russo Brothers who basically are directing all the movies now. So they Marcus and McFeely who wrote it. They've been alongside the Russo Brothers, and I'm sure 15 other staff writers and creative marketing team behind Avengers and Marvel. Trent Oplock is returning as cinematographer, Alan Silvestri for music, and then obviously Kim Feige. And as just like Infinity War, my cast is everyone and everyone. So everyone's in it.
There's no new characters in this, right? No,
I don't think so. No, everyone that we've seen. Well, what's funny is everyone that we've seen on screen has been in the movies already.
Yes,
with the except, but a lot of people that shot this stuff before they even shot their original movie. So like you had like Michelle Pfeiffer there and Michael Douglas at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't even
Brie Larson.
Right.
Yeah.
They were shooting Ant-Man and Wasp as they were shooting Avengers Endgame.
So yeah, we hadn't seen them necessarily on screen as they were filming it, but there's no introductions of new characters.
I don't believe so.
At any point of this movie.
No. Nope.
Yeah. So that saves you there.
Right. So I don't know where you want to start in terms of the movie itself. I guess.
No, I want you to go first because you texted me and emailed me and said Avengers board game. And not as in this is a game you play with your family. Mike was bored. So Mike, why were you bored?
Well, I remember very similar to Captain Marvel when we did Captain Marvel previous. I remembered like being like, it was okay. And then we watched it and I was like, I kind of like this movie. It's not bad. There's more stuff I like about it than maybe I didn't before. And I had only seen it that one time. But Endgame, I've only seen it in the theaters. I never watched it again. I mean, I would see a scene here or there, whatever.
Same.
The first 2 hours of the movie, I was just like, nothing's happening here. It was very, very boring to the point where, I mean, the ending is fine, but even up to the end, and you talk about how there's a lot of fan service moments in this movie, and that's fine. That's great. I just think that it obviously wasn't a mistake to split the two movies because they made a crap ton of money.
Right.
So but if I'm just looking at it as a story, not taking into consideration how much money we're going to make doing it, I don't really think this should have been a split up. I think it should have been one big movie.
4 hours?
You know what? Why not? But I get it. You're not going to do that. I understand that. Avengers Infinity War was 2.5. 2.5. Okay. So this movie got pushed to 3 probably because we've got our last movie. Let's shove it all in there. So you're talking that's 5.5 hours of Avengers. And I get it. It's awesome. I'm not poo-pooing that. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
People that love the movies, people that love the Marvel movies and love the comics and have been watching these for so many years. I absolutely understand it. And I'm not trying to put that down. But in terms of the story, nothing's going on in the beginning of Endgame. Nothing. It's just a big downer.
Yes. So at the end of our Infinity War episode or Captain Marvel episode, I said I liked Infinity War better. And it's to this point, it's the pacing in Infinity War is better. It's a tighter story.
This one just meanders.
It does.
To get to the end.
But it has this clip show in the middle of it. Like you're watching, this season 10 of Friends or something where you have to do the clip show before, or Seinfeld. I'm surprised they didn't play a Green Day song over, Hope You Had the Time of Your Life during that 1 hour in between when they go back to past years. to relive glory days.
Yeah, the the time travel stuff is tough, and I was going through a bunch of notes, and it was one of the producers that was just like, I just wish we could kill Thanos, and they were like, yeah, and that was the whole thing to the opening where they kill him, and then what now? Nothing, and then they have the 5 years later, and then the time travel stuff. So that decision instituted the time travel stuff, and this is my other thing with the time travel. You got to stop using movies as a source for time travel.
You have to stop using movies and then self-referencing the fact that you're using movies and making fun of them for self-referencing those movies.
Yeah. No one's
as your base for time travel.
I'm sorry, but if anybody is really, it's like in Galaxy Quest, the movie Galaxy Quest, when they take the TV show and they think they're historical documents. And like that's what you're doing here. Back to the Future is not a historical accurate document. Okay.
But it's Galaxy Quest was played specifically for the satire.
And it's a great movie. But I'm just saying, like, in this movie, you're using it like it's some kind of explanation. Yeah. It's not.
Robert Zemeckis is an expert on quantum physics.
Give me a break. They're movies. Why are we? And I know maybe that's a way to explain it to the audience. We're a little smarter than that, aren't we? Can't you just? You have Tony in his log cabin doing, I'm just going to reverse it and I'm going to do this. It works. It's like that's good enough for me. Okay. I don't need, that's fine. You
don't need Ant-Man coming in and saying, well, I watched this movie one time.
Yeah.
And we can't talk to our past selves.
Right. And I don't want to get too deep into the time travel stuff, but they talk about how when they go back in time and they do these things, the timeline alternate universe is split. But then there's somebody that says like, well, eventually it won't change everything because Smart Hulk, because that's our future going back to the past, so it's not going to change our present, which doesn't make any sense when he goes and talks to the Ancient One and you pull one stone and there goes the alternate universe. So whatever Smart Hulk said is wrong.
Yeah, time travel is hard to pull off in a serious way.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think that time travel exists?
No.
Okay, so then you don't think that in the future right now, like we are living in the present and there is no present ahead of us. That's because if the time travel exists, the future has happened already. Right. So our lives have already ended. No. Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You don't believe. Okay. Yeah. So then this movie's BS. That's what you're trying to tell me.
But I still enjoy it.
Well, hold on. You still enjoy this movie?
I do still enjoy this movie.
Okay. Here we go.
It's satisfying. And that's really why I enjoy it is, you could put it on and after watching this, after watching 10 years worth of this stuff and then rewatching it this year, it has a satisfying conclusion when you see everybody come out of the portals, when you see them go back. The story is blah.
This is one I want to ask you because you keep sending me the fan service moments. Give me the first fan service moment in this movie from the beginning. When does it happen? So I can know at what point you're like, all right, now this movie's worth it. Fan service. Is it when Joe Russo is talking about his date in the?
No.
Okay.
No. But Jim Starlin, who created,
I understand he's in that group. But that's not the fan service moment. Come on.
No, that's not the fan service moment.
What's the first moment that you're like that pays off for you after 20 something movies?
It doesn't happen really until the final fight.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
I mean, I like Hawkeye's introduction, and that's more for like fans of Hawkeye and Rodin.
Yeah.
And it's a great. The scene is shot really cool where they're moving the camera up and he's fighting through that building and everything. That's not necessarily fan service. It's just a really cool introduction.
Right.
Yeah. You don't really get the fan service moments until 2 hours in.
Yeah.
But at that point, it feels really satisfying because you're seeing everybody fight and beat Thanos.
Are you? Well, at the end of the movie? Yes. No, I get that. But everything else leading up to it, like the whole, I mean, I get there's some funny stuff when Captain America's looking at his own butt and he's like, oh, it is America's ass. I get that. That's funny.
That's fan service.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's whatever.
I don't like, I got to tell you, I actually don't like the Hail Hydra moment. I know that that's in the comic because we have talked about that.
Yeah.
How could they believe that? Like, how could they suddenly just believe that he's one of them?
I mean,
it's a movie. I get it.
Well, no, I think, if you're Rumlow and you're Agent Sitwell and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, we didn't think he was on our side. We're ready to fight him right now.
Right.
And then he says it. He doesn't know that we're Hydra. How could he possibly know we're Hydra unless he's Hydra?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it didn't feel right. I don't know. Maybe that's why.
That one was definitely a fan service. What they threw in there just to
because
do it, but
right.
it really didn't. It was just a way to get out of that scene.
Here's the time travel stuff again. They're going to think now
he's
Hydra. With them.
Yeah.
So doesn't that change? Like, what is there going to be a scene where at one point, like, wait a minute, maybe he's not with us. He tricked us.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just stuff like that I wasn't a huge fan of, but whatever. The fight's good. Even though it wasn't them, even though it wasn't Chris Evans at all, it was the two. So the fight with the two Captain Americas fighting each other. I think it was either a brother or a father-son stunt duo that were fighting each other because they both at one point played Captain America. Yeah. So as a cool thing, they were fighting against each other. Nice. I thought that was interesting.
I didn't know that until now. That's a nice moment.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that are probably more symbolic than maybe on the screen. So yeah.
In terms of Cap picking up Thor's hammer.
Yeah, I know that's a big moment.
When it flies into his hand was really cool.
I get that. And that's the first time he says Avengers Assemble ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Which that gets a little flack online because it's very similar to the for the Harry Potter fans in the house when in the Goblet of Fire in the book, Dumbledore says, Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? In the movie, he screams it at him. And it's supposed to be like whispers, Dumbledore whispers softly or something. In this one, he says Avengers, he yells it and then just whispers softly, assemble. Probably because he already knows that they're assembled.
Yeah.
What I also like too about that fight is in the beginning, it's just the big three.
Yeah.
It's just Thor, it's just Iron Man, and it's just Captain America. And they have very similar costumes to a lot of their kind of earlier designs.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a nice way to show them as like, these are the guys that built this universe.
Right. No, I get that. Do you like, I was going to say Fat Thor, but do you like Fat Thor?
No, I don't like Fat Thor at all.
So is he supposed to stay like that now for the entirety of his, like, is he in Love and Thunder, whatever it's called? Is he going to be that?
I don't think he's going to be completely that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we talked about this in Ragnarok.
We did.
He has this fitness app. And so the weighted vest thing that he's wearing.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
it weighs like 80 pounds.
I'm not saying that as Chris Hemsworth going to start putting on weight.
No, I know, but it's to him, it's like, hey, I might as well just do my normal get in shape thing and maybe not go as crazy as I had in the past.
Right.
But the weighted thing, he's carrying around 80 pounds on his body for that's fat suit.
Right.
That's insane. Just be a normal, just be yourself. Don't go, like you did in the first movie or even the second movie where he got really big. My problem with the Fat Thor moment is, yes, I absolutely understand that he's going through a lot of emotional trauma. And, we talked about how the MCU deals with emotional trauma, whether it's Tony in Iron Man 3 and some of the other characters later throughout the series. He went through a lot. He lost everything in the span of like 24 hours. And then he failed to save the Earth, even though he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Every scene that he's in, though, except for the one with his mother, it's played for laughs. He's fat and he's funny. Mm-hmm. And people aren't laughing with him.
Right.
We're laughing at him.
Of course
we're supposed to be laughing at him. Right. So it's a really unfortunate way that they play this character who, if you do it right, it can mean a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you play him in such a way that, oh, he's fat and he's funny and he's depressed and he's funny. And it's, we're not laughing with him. We're laughing at him because he's depressed and he's fat.
Yeah. I think you could have done it without the bodysuit, without the weight gain.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's in there for laughs. It's not the right laughs. Let's put it. That's probably the best thing. I mean, he can be depressed and doesn't want to, and recluse and, doesn't want to be involved in, what do they call it? New Asgard.
Right.
So yeah, they could have done that a different way.
Yeah.
I agree. He could have been doing stuff. I almost feel like he should have been like doing stuff that is harmful to him. Maybe he's not doing drugs, but taking risks or just, stuff like that. Something a little bit more darker
to see if he can die.
Yeah. Like something like that. It was distracting.
It was.
And I wasn't a huge fan of it. And whatever, I guess that's the choice they made. So you talk about Hawkeye. Two things about Hawkeye. That scene that he had opens the movie was actually meant to be at the end of Infinity War. Do you like that decision to put in the beginning?
I do.
Okay.
No, what about you? Do you like it better?
I don't mind it. The other thing was like, he goes off and kills everybody and then the snap comes back. Everyone's back. It's like Hawkeye's not going to answer for some of this stuff.
Well, and this is where we said, some of this stuff leads into new projects.
Sure.
It might be why he may have to pass the mantle of Hawkeye on to a new character in the Hawkeye series.
More than one reason why he's passing the mantle on, and it has to do with Jeremy Renner. So yeah, exactly. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
I do like the opening scene with that because it sets the tone for that really dreary first hour of the movie.
And then, oh yes, well, I'll get back to that. And then you have when the phone call comes and he sees it's his wife. That's a nice moment.
Yes.
Back to the beginning, the dreary moment when they have the Joe Russo cameo. That's Joe Russo in there, right?
It's Joe or Anthony. I think know which one.
Whatever, one of them.
Yeah.
And they're doing the circle. That's like, no.
So can I give you my theory on that scene?
Go for it.
So whichever Russo brother that is, he also shows up in Winter Soldier as a doctor taking care of Nick Fury, who had faked his death.
Right. Okay.
In that underground bunker. So I think these are SHIELD guys. And I think that's why they know about Thanos.
Okay.
I don't know if the whole world knows about Thanos yet until the blip, happens again.
That's fine.
They bring people back, but this, because it has Jim Starlin and he's a
so
Marvel
they're trying
creator.
to say that he knows them from.
These are SHIELD guys. That's how I'm able to canon this scene.
I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with this note. And this is a note on IMDb, so this note might be bad. I wrote this note verbatim. They credit Russo's character's cameo as being the first openly gay character in the MCU. Give me a freaking break.
Of course I could swear on this. They got a ton of shit for that because they came out and said there's going to be a homosexual character in Endgame.
What a cop out.
It's such a cop out.
I mean,
and they deserve every flack that they got.
I'm
for that
sorry,
scene.
but like, we're adults. We can handle it.
Yeah.
I know what Tessa Thompson came out and said, like, Valkyrie
is supposed to be gay or bisexual.
And that's fine, but that's like her saying it after the fact.
Right.
Just put it in the freaking movie.
Which is what we said about Ragnarok during our episode.
Who cares? I'm not going to walk out of the theater if I see two dudes kissing. I'm good, man. I'm really good about it. It's fine.
But you're right about this, that they could do more. Marvel wants to talk about inclusion and diversity and all this stuff. And this is what they give us.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Do a little bit more.
Dumb.
Marvel.
That was
be better.
I'm watching it. I'm going, all right. When I watched the movie and I was just like, and he's talking about it, he's telling the story. I'm just like, all right, okay, whatever. I didn't think anything. Then I read the note and I'm like, are you kidding me? That's really, I'm supposed to hang my hat on that. Come on.
So let's transition a second here. And during the clip show in the middle, so that second hour of the movie, they pair up. Let's talk about the pairings for a little bit. Did you like who they put the characters with? Did you not like it? Were you a little like wanted to see more?
Well, like what pair up?
So you did. We had Widow and Hawkeye going to Vormir. We had War Machine and Nebula going to Morag. Thor and Rocket going to Asgard in the past to somehow make Thor: The Dark World relevant. And then the rest of the Avengers / Tony and Steve going to New York and subsequently 70s New Jersey.
I didn't really think of it. I know that there's some kind of comics reference to all that, right? Like some of the, like I know, and we could talk about it later, but I know there's like a connection with War Machine and Captain Marvel and Danvers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I know that the only pairing that was, oh, hey, I know why we're together is Hawkeye and Black Widow, because both of them are going to die. Like, you know what I mean? That's where they're going there to decide who's gonna die. And
Marvel had tried to build a relationship between them for several movies. It really kind of flaked out here and there, but yeah, I think they're trying to bank on that.
Did they ever intend for them to be a couple? Or was it always going to be like they were friends?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because you think in Avengers, the original Avengers movie, they have some couple tendencies.
Well, they do with Black Widow. They do that with Captain America.
Yep.
In the first Avenger one, and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Hulk. They do a banner.
Yep.
Which I thought, like, okay, I guess that's what they're doing. And then they do it with Hawkeye throughout. It was really odd.
Did you remember being a teenager in high school with that one girl in the group and everybody tried to date her?
I guess.
I mean, that's kind of what this is.
This is how
and I have friends listening to this podcast and they know exactly what group I'm talking about.
Well, I went to an all boys high school. So, maybe.
In Winter Soldier, Widow wears the necklace with the arrow.
No, I saw that.
And so that was, you're like, wait, is that from Hawkeye?
Oh, right,
but apparently it was like, maybe it was just Hawkeye just gave it to her because they're friends, or maybe Hawkeye's wife gave it to her.
But she's wearing it in this movie, and it's supposed to be her remembering Hawkeye. So then what's that?
I don't know.
A mission in Budapest was really tough. Here's this necklace.
So the more you think about this scene, it has to be Black Widow. It cannot be Hawkeye.
Well, do I know at this point that Hawkeye's got a show coming out on Disney Plus?
No, you don't know at this point that Hawkeye has a show coming out at this point. Widow, when she sacrifices herself, she's not she's giving up what she loves most, and that's not Hawkeye. That's the entire Avengers team. The whole opening her life, her family. That whole speech she gave at the beginning of the movie, and that she found something here. She was always a loner,
right?
By sacrificing herself, she gives that up.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Black Widow doesn't gain anything.
The whole point of this is to bring back the people they lost. So Hawkeye, killing himself, is going to deny his family.
Yes.
Him.
If Hawkeye dies, that's not Widow losing the most important thing in her life. She loves the whole team. She wants the whole team. By her dying, she gives that up. She's not dying. Hawkeye isn't losing Widow.
Yeah.
Widow is losing the team. And so that's why it has to be her.
Now, tell me why this is wrong. And I know when I looked for an explanation, it was I got writers' rationalization explanations. When Captain America returns the stone, why does Black Widow not come? It's a soul for a soul. If I'm returning the soul, why can't I get the soul back? Exactly, because when I'm looking, they're like, "Well, no, that's not how it works." It's like, yeah, but you telling me that's not how it works is not really an explanation. What
are they going to reset that for Guardians of the Galaxy 3? When he goes to get Gamora, or is he going to go get 2014 Gamora?
No, because here's the thing. Because the stone that Thanos got, he destroyed. So no, she's gone.
Okay. So he's going to go after, Peter Quill's going to go after 2014 Gamora.
Yes, because she's now in 2020 or whenever.
2023. Yeah. So the other team, I think you needed the Tony and Steve scene where they go back essentially to their beginning. That was, writers trying to be symbolic and everything. But the one that really just there's no chemistry there. And it's just because it was like they were playing kickball and they paired up. Oh, you guys make sense together. You guys make sense together. You guys all go together. Okay, we're left with War Machine and Nebula. And it's like, okay, I guess you guys are going to Morag.
Yeah.
And it just like they tried to find the connection where he's like, oh, Rhodey's broken. And Nebula's like, yeah, I was repaired too, but it doesn't work.
One of the things that they talk about in the movie, how one of the Russo's favorite moments is Cap and is it Black Widow being in space at the first time?
Yeah.
And that reaction, that's great. But like, so is War Machine.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything with that. And he's just kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? All right. I can breathe on this planet. No problem.
When he questions just about everything in every scene he's in ever.
When Black Widow and Hawkeye are on Vormir, we can breathe. No problem. I get it. I know the last time we talked about this, I said, listen, I get it. It's the Star Wars rules. That's fine. I understand. But, Star Wars didn't have Earth in it. Star Wars had a galaxy far, far away a long time ago, which I don't know anything about. So they can make up the rules as they go.
Speaking of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So this movie came out about, 9 months before? No, a year and a half before. Rise of Skywalker, right?
Rise of Skywalker was 2019. Rise of Skywalker was 2020. No, it wasn't.
You're right. It was 2019.
Nothing was 2020.
That's true. Yeah, so this came out the same year as Rise of Skywalker.
All the Star Wars movies were around Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Endgame was about 9 months before then. Why does this victory lap work and Star Wars Rise of Skywalker doesn't?
Really? You really want to get into that?
2-minute sentence. Sum it up.
Endgame has 20 movie lead into it. So you're not just wrapping up.
Star Wars had 8.
Because the Star Wars movies are flawed. The last trilogy is flawed big time.
Yeah.
And they made multiple mistakes of, the first movie is just basically Star Wars again. They just redid it. And you can tell me all you want about it's not. It is.
It is.
And I get it. There's interesting things in this. A movie a complete movie cannot be a good complete film, but yet have great moments in it and good pieces that you love. That's fine. That doesn't mean the movie's good.
Right.
The movie is just Star Wars. The second one, they made the mistake of basically having no cohesiveness, being like, you do whatever you want, Ryan.
They didn't
Johnson.
have a Kevin Feige.
Whatever you want to say about Last Jedi, whether you love it or you hate it, it's fine. But if it's just a standalone movie, you've already set a precedent for Star Wars fans where all these movies are connected, and they've already watched 10 years of Marvel movies where everything's connected. You can't do it that way. You just can't.
Yeah.
That it's not the type of story to do it that way, regardless of whether it's awesome or not. So then you have Abrams come back for this third one. He's basically rewriting a lot of the stuff from the second one. So it's a flawed trilogy.
There was no Kevin Feige at the head saying, this is the direction we're going in.
I will say it's better than the prequel trilogy.
All right, we're going to have that disagreement offline.
Dude, the prequel trilogy is boring. It's boring. My buddy keeps telling me about how the pod racing scene is fantastic. I go, yeah, it's fantastic.
Pod racing scene goes on 20 minutes longer.
Thank you. It's way too long. It's way too long.
It is way too long, but I find them more interesting than.
Oh, there's nothing more exciting about Senate hearings. I got you. Oh, that's what I want to see in my big action film. Senate
Well.
debates.
Anyway.
I want to see Senate debates and then freak out because I see the ETs off in the corner somewhere. And I'm like, oh my God. That's what I want to do. Oh, yeah. Give me that. Give me all of that.
Anyway, back to Endgame. Thanks for that, Mike. We really appreciate that insight.
No problem.
I just wanted to touch on one more thing because we don't actually talk about the acting too much in these films because they're mostly wrapped up in the blockbuster appeal. But Robert Downey Jr. in the opening scenes when he's emaciated after being in space.
When he gets angry again?
When he gets angry again. I mean, he's angry, but that was really good acting.
But he gets angry again, Pat. That's my note. He gets angry again. And the only reason he gets angry is that so that he goes away for 5 years and has a family.
Yeah. The story reason behind it isn't great, but his acting I really appreciate.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, he's trying to say, hey, you said we were going to beat Thanos together. Where were you? It's like, first of all, where were you?
Yeah.
We were in Wakanda fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
You were up in Jupiter fighting Thanos. Like everybody was
Jupiter.
It was
Titan.
Moon and Titan.
I don't know if that's the Titan around Jupiter though, right? I think it's a different Titan, right?
No, I think it's a Titan.
That's awfully close to Earth. We're just like
They were flying for that long.
All right.
This is again where they try to make Tony seem sympathetic for causing issues.
He's just always angry.
He is always angry.
And it's just it. Once I saw it, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Tony's angry. Well, who else did you want to highlight? Just him?
Yeah.
Okay.
In this movie.
All right.
I mean, Renee Russo she does well in the scene with Thor's mom.
But it's like it's I was born of witches, of course I know. And then it's just like, again, it's the problem with that scene is that the time travel stuff gets accepted and it's into it and it's.
But she also dies like 5 minutes later.
Yeah,
in Thor: The Dark World. So it's not like she could tell somebody, hey, I just saw you from 12 years in the future.
Yeah, it's a lot of Scott Lang in this movie too.
There is a lot of Scott Lang. There's a lot of Scott Lang.
Yeah. A lot of Scott. And he's good. He's got some funny moments, obviously. Paul Rudd's funny. Obviously, I know everyone liked the scene when he goes to see Cassie. And I know there's a big moment when he talks about how, you've gotten so big and everyone gets all teared up. And whoever making this movie, they're all like, oh, we all cry. Okay. All right. You got. I understand all that. That's fine. I don't know. Captain America's always good. Chris Evans is always good. Captain America. We talked about Thor. Black Widow has a lot of stuff in here that she's got to do. But the opening when she's just sitting there, like when they are having that discussion with everybody,
with the holograms.
Yeah.
I like the way Okoye pointed. It's like, nah, it was just it was just an earthquake. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
She's like, well, what's our response? It's like nothing. It was an earthquake below the ocean. We're fine.
Yeah. A lot of my notes have to do with within the universe, so maybe I'll hold off on them.
Okay.
I know we talked off air about the signatures.
Yeah.
Because you want to copy that. That's actually not, that's from a movie. That's from Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, is it?
They do that at the end of that for the original Star Trek cast.
Okay.
So that's where they got that from. Speaking of Star Trek, Feige says he credits this, and I've never seen the show. He credits the series finale of Star Trek: The Next Generation, All Good Things, as an inspiration for this film. I don't. I have to watch it.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't watch Star Trek.
Yeah. Why not? So we talk about Ant-Man and Wasp were filming at the same time. This Endgame and Infinity War were the first Hollywood films filmed entirely on digital IMAX cameras. So it's a ratio of 1:9:1. And it's cropped to 2:3:9. So now every time you watch it, you are not watching how it was intended to be watched, which kind of I don't like.
Right.
I don't like it.
It's going to be home release.
Right. I don't have an IMAX screen at my house.
You don't?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. That's not how I roll. So I don't have that
stimulus check money.
My other podcast, I bugs me when I can't watch a movie in its original format. I hate it because it's not what was intended. And so this. When I read that, I'm just like, well, then I'm not really getting what I want to get. I'm not really getting it how it should be watched.
Cinematographer wanted you to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, so that kind of bugged me. So Smart Hulk was actually meant for Infinity War. And they changed it because in Infinity. So basically in Infinity War, he was supposed to come out and he was supposed to rip his armor off and beat the crap out of Cole Obsidian during the fight. Okay. But then they got rid of it and they said no. Another thing that the writers did is that they openly admit that they wrote themselves into a corner with Avengers with the first Infinity War.
How so?
that they admit that that's where the whole time travel thing came up from. Like, they admit that once the snap happened, they were just like, they had to write themselves out of that.
Yeah.
That's not a good start.
It's not a good start. I know that wasn't the snap supposed to start Endgame and they were going to.
I mean, that probably would have been, it might have been better.
Yeah.
But
Where
like,
would you have
how would
ended?
you, I was just saying, how are you ending Infinity War?
I don't
know
know
what I mean? You want to end it with a battle, but how are you going to end it with a battle if
there's no culmination of
Right.
the battle, especially, and how do you get people back in the audience, back in the theater if it's over with, basically?
See, it doesn't matter. We're arguing, or not arguing, but we're discussing is something that really doesn't matter because Endgame made a crap ton of money. It's the highest grossing film all the time. So it doesn't really matter what you're going to do or don't do because whatever you did worked because people care. But I think you had 20 minutes. This movie is a sequel of 20 others.
Right.
So that's why it works.
Yes. And so to your point about the writers coming out or writing themselves in the corner, this was another case of them retconning what happened in the film after the fact in like director interviews and stuff. And that was the scene at the end with Cap going back in time and spending his life with Peggy.
You mean the alternate reality?
Well, the writers came out and said, no, that takes place in the current reality. The directors came out and said it takes place in an alternate reality.
Right.
Get on the same page, guys.
So, because there is no page. They don't know.
Yeah.
They just wanted to do that for the character. I know you like that moment.
I do like it.
But that moment makes no flipping sense.
I think it does.
It doesn't do because you have to say he's in alternate reality because you cannot say that he is in their same reality and everything's happening and they're just burying their heads in the stand and not doing anything. How do you live your life like that? How can you possibly
he knows not
live
to
your
mess
health
with it?
But how could you be happy? How could you be happy in that life? She works for S.H.I.E.L.D., so she just retires.
He knows that it all ends up well in the end.
She works for S.H.I.E.L.D. all the way up until the point when he comes back and sees her in Captain America, Winter Soldier, and she's dying. She has been with S.H.I.E.L.D. all that time.
Yes.
Now she's not because he goes back and they get married and she quits. That's one of the other notes that she retires from S.H.I.E.L.D. And
I didn't see that note.
Yeah, no, it's just what I'm saying. Like,
I didn't see that.
All these notes may be wrong. All these notes may not be right, but like these are just people throwing explanations. I can't tell you the amount of notes on here that I just straight up ignored because they were so long and it was just another rationalization and explanation about the stuff that happened to this movie. I'm sorry, but like when you make a movie, I shouldn't have 45,000 questions about how did that work?
You don't have to go find read the book with the notes and this.
So give me the Disney Plus series where they're living their life together and it's just a drama like This Is Us and it's just Cap and and Peggy and they just have regular old problems and they have kids that are kids are getting sick and they want to make sure that they're okay. Give me that.
So I was gonna save this for the MCU connections, but fans want the Captain America series where he goes back in time and returns the stones. I'm like, why? What will happen in this scene? Is he going to go back in time to Morag to watch Peter Quill go get the Power Stone? Then War Machine and Nebula are watching him get the stone. So he's watching Nebula and War Machine watch Peter Quill get the stone only so he could return it right back.
They want stuff where like he has to go back, but his ship breaks down or he gets lost. And he's like, I need help getting to this planet. And they're like, I'll help you, but I need you to help me. And then like he goes off on adventures. But I will say this.
You want the time traveling Mandalorian.
I will say this, that there is a lost opportunity though, when he's got to go see Red Skull at Vormir. And they have history.
That's it though. That's the only interesting part about that whole series. Unless, no, there is no unless. That's the only interesting part about that whole series. And what it's a Dark Tower like the Gunslinger where him and where the Man in Black and Roland Deschain are talking to each other to end the movie or end the book. Yeah. Like, come on. Like that doesn't work.
No, I got you. Because the time travel thing doesn't work because it's flimsy at best.
It's flimsy in any movie. You just have to
Not Back to the Future. Back to the Future's not flimsy.
Well, that's why they based this on Back to the Future.
Exactly, because Back to the Future is a good freaking movie.
All right. Anyway,
well, we should get into the differences, but oh my god, we're way over time.
We just spent 50 movies.
I know. I mean, because there's so much stuff to talk about, like the fact that they shot the funeral scene in October of 2017. They shot that. Yeah, it's referenced as being the most complicated scheduling shot in the history of cinema because because nobody's there digitally. They're all there. Like, okay, I get it. You got to match up schedules. Let's just calm down about it's the most difficult thing. So they're all told.
Ben-Hur in the chariot race.
I know. Like immediately I'm thinking about the ending in 1917 when he's running and the bombs are going off. I go, no, I got you. This is terrible.
We had to make sure Michael Douglas's schedule lined up with the kid that plays Harley Keener.
Give me a break. They told everyone this was a funeral scene. And then they showed up and, oh no, I'm sorry. They told everyone it was a wedding. Then they showed up, but then, oh, by the way, no, it's a funeral. But I'm thinking to myself, if Robert Downey Jr. is not there, you all know
he was there though.
So is he in? So do they have him in the front and they pretend they shoot? They shoot him.
I thought so. I thought that was the story, that he was also there. Okay. Because they can't give Tom Holland this information because it was going to end up on Jimmy Kimmel.
He can't keep his mouth shut.
No, that's why he needs a babysitter.
Gee, that's embarrassing.
For the Infinity War press tour,
I know. They
put Benedict Cumberbatch next to him.
That's embarrassing.
He's a kid.
He's in his 20s. He's not a kid anymore.
He's not on his own. He's in UK.
He's a Hollywood kid. I got you.
I was going to say he's still on his parents' health insurance.
They're probably on his now, if he even knows how to sign up. All right, so let's get into the differences between the movie and the comic. I don't know where you want to go with this.
You start. Just give me something.
All right, I'm going to go down my list.
All right,
maybe we do this quick.
Yeah,
it's really more about
these are like Easter. A lot of these are Easter egg stuff.
Thanos' armor used as a scarecrow is just like the end of Infinity Gauntlet. Go.
Yeah, that's true. So after that's true. That's right. Lightning round. No. So after Adam Warlock defeats him at the end of Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos retires essentially and just goes to live on his garden planet, and he hangs up his armor in a scarecrow format. And so it's meant to scare off and ward off any visitors. But Adam Warlock just walks right by it and sees that Thanos is living peacefully.
Excellent. Danvers' short hair is from the modern design. The red sash is a belt. Also, her red costume, black shoulder pads are from Captain Marvel. So explain her look, I guess.
Yeah, so this is just in visual director Andy Park, who worked on the movie, basically tried to tie in a lot of key elements of all of Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel's history. The sash comes from Miss Marvel, which is when she wore like a black kind of one piece and had the sash, off to the side as like a belt. The red and blue flight suit that we see in Captain Marvel is here again. That's more of a modern look. And then the red and blackish blue coloring is originally goes back to the Marvel days.
Okay.
And then they shortened her hair.
Speaking of Danvers, and we talked about it briefly, her and Rhodey in the comics now have a relationship.
Yes, they do.
Well, what's up with that?
Yeah, they like each other.
But she's not okay. But I'm probably
she's on Earth. She's Earth-based.
She's not like the Captain Marvel in the movie. So that's okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's confusing me. Like, why would
there's one more note I have about her in it, and we'll get to it.
Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to touch on the two main deaths that we see in this film, and that's Iron Man and Black Widow.
Right.
Death in comics are just a revolving door. People are in and out. They die all the time. They come back. Sometimes it's a fake. Sometimes it's not. So Tony died. He faked his death once, died one time, and then most recently he's died in a series called Civil War II. And we talked about Civil War II and Captain Marvel. It's essentially a Minority Report like situation where there's a mutant who has a precog ability who can predict crime. Instead of reading Civil War II, just go watch Minority Report.
Awesome movie.
Tony and several of the Avengers say, no, that's not how we roll. Captain Marvel is like, well, no, we could save, a lot of people. We could stop a lot of crimes before they happen. And so, of course, the two sides face off. Captain Marvel ends up punching Tony to death.
Nice.
And he dies in Spider-Man, but at this point it was Miles Morales, but he dies in Spider-Man's arms. Okay. And so he returns in an AI format with Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, who we're going to get the show on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. If they really hurting for fans, get Downey that dump truck full of cash.
Just to walk into the sound booth and
yeah.
Great.
And then the second one was Black Widow. So during the Secret Empire storyline, which I think you had a question about before, Worlds Altered, where Captain America is an agent of Hydra. In an attempt to assassinate this Hydra cap, Black Widow, it fails and Black Widow dies in the process. So the panel that they show her lying there dead, where it's shot from overhead, is very similar to how we see her laying on the floor of the cave or whatever that is in Boromir.
Okay.
So I wanted to touch on those two, but since we're on the Captain Marvel thing.
Sure. The merged Professor Hulk compared to the Banner Hulk look in the Endgame. I don't even know what that note means.
Yeah, so Professor Hulk, I think we may have touched on it back in Incredible Hulk, but that was a long time ago. He first appeared in Incredible Hulk number 377, really exactly the same idea that we see here. And it's that the strength of Hulk plus the brains of Banner without all that emotional baggage.
Was he also a fan hog and he always took selfies? And
Well, it was was it the 80s or the early 90s? So it was before a lot of this stuff, but he was a lot more accepted by the team. It had nothing to do with gamma radiation. It was Banner had a lot of emotional issues. His father had beat his mother to death, and so he had this trauma. They cover that in the 2003 Eric Bana movie,
which was on the other day, and I was watching.
Hulk looks terrible, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's Nick Nolte's a little
fine.
weird. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with gamma radiation. He just has to come to terms with this emotional trauma that he grew up with, and when he finally does, he's able to kind of merge the two things. So. He's got a little bit more human-like features, wears clothes, kind of like a almost like a wrestling suit type thing is what they designed him in, but similar to what we get here.
All right. The time travel suits are from the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yes. This is real quick. So Earth's Mightiest Heroes was a Disney XD show, and it ran for about 2 seasons. They're space suits. They're not time travel suits in the show, but they're space suits, and they're red and blue, but they incorporate a lot more of the Avengers iconography in each of their suits. But that's it.
Okay. Speaking of time travel, the inspiration for some of the time travel moments are from Avengers Forever.
Yes. So I think we touched on this a couple episodes ago, but Avengers Forever was a limited series from 98 to 99 by Kurt Busiek. It is all about time travel. So Rick Jones, who was a friend of the Incredible Hulk and later friend of the Avengers, he has now the ability to pull Avengers from different timelines, including Captain America from the past, Yellow Jacket, aka Hank Pym, another Hank Pym, and Janet Van Dyne, Hawkeye, this character who's associated with the Thunderbolts, Songbird, and Genisvel, a later version of Captain Marvel, who is the son of the original Marvel. So they face off against a character named Immortus, who's an older version and a more evil version of Kang the Conqueror, who was one of the Avengers' bigger time travel villains.
He's supposed to be rumored to be...
He's going to be in Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man Quantumania. So they go back in time to the Old West, to the 50s, and into the future, and they time hop all over the place. And so this is just really... A lot of this inspiration comes about a ragtag group of Avengers time hopping.
They're always a ragtag group.
It's always a ragtag.
Is it never not a ragtag group? Clint Barton, we talked about this, about Ronan. So explain Ronan, but like let's first put it this way. The snap doesn't happen in the comics, does it?
It does.
Okay.
Not like this, though.
Okay. So is Ronan come about during the snap?
No.
Okay. So it's just real briefly explain the Ronan stuff.
The first Ronan was actually a character named Echo or Maya Lopez. And so she's a deaf Native American character who falls in love with Matt Murdock, but she's tasked.
Hold on. Time out.
AKA Daredevil.
I know who Daredevil is. She's deaf and Murdock's blind. And they decided to put them together in the comics. Come on. Yeah. Nobody gave them crap for that.
It was like 1998.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So she falls in love with Matt Murdock, but her Echo, as Echo, she's basically like an assassin. She's working with Kingpin to defeat Daredevil. And so she fights with him until she realizes Matt and Daredevil are one and the same.
What's her power?
Master hand-to-hand combat.
So why is she Echo? Because she can't hear? That's why they call her Echo? I'm thinking like she does something where she can hear.
I don't think so. I don't remember. I haven't really.
Interesting.
So she showed up in the Daredevil comics in like the late 90s.
Right. But
no, I'm going to give you the timeline here. Yeah. She joins the New Avengers around, I think it was like 2004. As far as I can tell, we haven't really seen much of her since. So I really haven't read that much about her.
Because it makes more sense that if Daredevil's called Echo because he needs to use echolocation to know where things are because he can't see. Her called Echo seems like it's a name to kind of like, oh, you can't hear. Your name's Echo. Well, that seems wrong to me.
Her up. Yeah, I'm looking her up.
Inappropriate. Come on, Marvel.
No, she's just Olympic level athlete, martial artist, acrobat, and photographic reflexes is what they.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
She can remember when people move their elbows?
I guess.
You moved your elbow 80 degrees. I know that because I have photographic reflexive memory. What?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't understand this character.
You don't have to.
Okay, all right.
So
When is this Disney Plus show coming out?
she's going to be in the Hawkeye.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah, she is.
Maybe we'll get a better explanation.
We'll get a better explanation there. So she gets captured by the Hand, the evil ninja organization from Daredevil lore. On the rescue mission, Clint Barton, who was killed in Avengers Disassembled by Scarlet Witch when she went crazy, hint, hint.
Ooh.
He comes back to life somehow, and he just shows up and he's like, okay, let's go save her. And his Hawkeye gear is nowhere to be found. So he just takes the Ronin costume to go rescue Echo.
Are you saying that Scarlet Witch is going to kill Hawkeye on the show?
She's going to do something.
All right.
Well, by the time this episode comes out, the show's practically over.
We're talking about WandaVision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just takes the Echo one, and so he wears it, and then Echo says, or he takes the Ronin costume, and Echo says, yeah, fine, you could keep it. No big deal. And so he wears the Ronin costume for a while. He eventually goes back to becoming Hawkeye. In a recent series from 2020, Hawkeye wears both his normal one and then the Ronin suit when he's trying to be more menacing and more anti-hero like. It doesn't really work for him as he crosses a couple lines and gets the Avengers on him.
I'm surprised more superheroes haven't done this in terms of just go after the bad guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Well,
All right, I know I said briefly, and that wasn't brief at all, about explaining Ronin. That's fine.
The best I could do.
We talked about the fan service moment about Cap wielding Thor's hammer.
Mm-hmm.
What comic does that come from?
So there's two. There was the Mighty Thor number 380. That was back when Steve was just going by the Captain. He had been disillusioned by the government and was no longer going by Captain America. And so he picked it up as a nod to the fact that, just because he's not Captain America, he is still worthy of these powers. And then the more recent one is another series we've touched on a few times. It's called Fear Itself, in which he's able to wield the hammer. And there's a great big splash page of him yelling, "Avengers Assemble."
Yeah, I was going to say that's in the comic,
Yeah.
but that's never said anywhere else.
Yeah. No, Avengers Assemble?
I meant in the movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you buy the theory that he could lift the hammer in Avengers, the first one, right? And he
Age of
faked it.
Ultron?
Yeah, when they were doing.
I don't buy the theory that he faked it.
Okay.
I don't think that's in him to fake that.
Okay. So he just
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
But
It
does
was-
that mean that when Thor sees him pick it up and he goes, "I knew it"?
Thor probably knew, like, oh, I did see it move. I know you
Right.
could. You
They
have
they have that in the thing. Yeah.
You
can see-
have the potential of being worthy,
Yeah.
and then here you are.
Right. Okay. You could make a case that he's more worthy than Thor at this point at Endgame because
Yeah.
Thor gave up. Thor shouldn't have been worthy to carry Stormbreaker at all.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, Morgan Stark is based off Howard Stark III, who was Tony and Pepper's son in Invincible Iron Man number 500. That's from 2011.
So Morgan Stark actually has three different interpretations in it. So Morgan Stark originally is a cousin of Tony's in the 1960s, and he felt that his father was cheated by his uncle, Howard Stark. And so he spent a number of issues trying to take Stark Industries from Tony. He actually ends up going down this deep villainous rabbit hole.
Like that happens often.
Yeah,
I hear you.
as one does. The second one is in the Ultimate Universe, which we've touched on a couple times, is he's taken captive at the same time Tony is in his origin story, but he's killed while Tony's trying to escape.
Okay.
And then the third character who you're talking about, who's Howard Stark III, he is the son of Tony and Pepper in an alternate dimension.
Oh, here we go.
Where the Mandarin's a ruler. Howard is actually a cyborg who wears pieces of the War Machine armor, and he's tracking down those who are resisting the Mandarin. Eventually he has a change of heart and he ends up dying in service of the resistance. But I don't really see. I think this was just, if they took this name Morgan
Gotcha.
from the first two,
Right.
more than anything.
All right. Did you get the Secret Wars reference of Hulk holding up the rubble for Rocket and War Machine? The note I have. Did you even get that?
I knew
when
what you
first
meant,
saw
because
it? No, I meant like when you watched the movie.
No,
and
when I watched
he
the
was
movie,
doing it,
not
you were
at
like
all.
Secret Wars.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. So in the Secret Wars comic, the original one, when they're all brought to Battle World to face off against various villains and hero teams, I think it's issue number 4.
Mhm.
It has a mountain falling on all of the Avengers and Hulk is holding it up. And so that's the cover. But the inside the story, it's the same thing where you're just kind of blocking the rubble from falling on the rest of them. I'm 99% certain Rocket and War Machine aren't in that story.
All right. So
it's a cute little thing, I guess, but it really doesn't.
I gotcha.
It's not important.
What's funny is that we have yet to talk about the all female Avengers
We've
scene.
talked about it a couple other times.
Right, but that's fine. And we can get to it a little bit later,
Yeah.
but it's a reference to A-Force.
Yes.
Is that feels to me like a hindsight 2020. Oh, this was a reference to that. Not as we have all been told where it was just, hey, let's shoot this. We want to do this. Let's add it in.
What do you mean?
Like when we always reference the all-female Avengers scene, it's always, it was a reshoot. They wanted to put it together. I didn't realize that it was because, it happened in A-Force. Let's do it here.
I don't think they pulled it directly from A-Force.
Okay, well, what's A-Force?
So A-Force, it's actually one of our recommended readings today, but it's Avengers team with an all-female lineup. And basically any single female character, mostly non-X-Men related, that's in the Marvel universe is tied to this team. And so it only ran about 15 issues.
Do you have to be a member of A-Force if you are on the Avengers and a female? Are you automatically put into the A-Force?
I don't know. That's a good question. It only had 15 issues and they don't go that far. And most of the issues were tied into the second Secret Wars series.
Is Echo on the A-Force?
No.
Okay.
No. Let's just say it's not a bad read. And that's why it's on there. Comic books are mostly a male fandom.
Yeah, no kidding.
And when you try to do something like this, they don't take to it well because they're
grow
stupid.
up.
Yeah. And it just didn't get the life that it needed.
Yeah. Well, grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thor wielding Stormbreaker and I can't ever say this name.
Mjolnir.
Whatever. Together is from the God Butcher / God Bomb story. No. You're shaking your head.
Yes
no?
and no. So first of all, Gore the God Butcher is going to show up in Thor: Love and Thunder, played by Christian Bale. So I'm not going to go too deep into what he does, but he actually wields 2 Mjolnirs.
Seems like he butchers gods.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And there's a God Bomb. Ooh. It's a really relatively new series. I think it was like 2018, 2019. So it's really recent, and the fact that they're adapting it already is interesting. But he doesn't wield Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. He wields Mjolnir and a second Mjolnir.
Ooh, 2.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you where he gets them.
He tries it time travel.
But in the Secret Invasion series, when the Skrulls have come to invade Earth and have already been in Earth, that's when he wields both.
Well, that'll never happen because they're good now. They're refugees.
Yeah, but that's when he wields both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Yep. Okay. The double cap fight
Double cap fight.
is from Captain America number 156.
That is America's ass.
That's the Hydra one, right? Or no?
No.
Okay.
No. So after the popularity of comics kind of died following World War II, they didn't and especially these wartime heroes that were really all about American patriotism and selling war bonds and fighting Nazis. When the Nazis were defeated, they didn't really have much to do. And so, the sales on Captain America weren't great. When they changed the story, so Bucky, assumingly died in the explosion, and Cap was frozen, they had to explain away why there was still Captain America through the 50s and fighting communism. And so it was said that this character named William Burnside was chosen to replace Steve Rogers. And he went so far and so crazy because he took a experimental dose of super soldier serum. He did plastic surgery, so he looked like Steve Rogers. He even changed his name to become Steve Rogers. And it really...
Convenient.
Yeah, exactly. This is the kind of comic book retcons that are weird. But he got so crazy or so... He ended up leading a team of white supremacists.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and so he wanted to still kill Steve Rogers. And so in that issue that you referenced, that's when they face off against each other, basically for the mantle of Captain America.
Okay.
Guess who wins?
Well, I would say Steve Rogers, but
Yes.
they're both named Steve Rogers.
The good Steve Rogers.
Obviously.
Not the
white supremacist Steve
not the
Rogers.
terrorist Steve Rogers.
All right. So my last one is Black Widow killed Clint's family in the Ultimates.
Yes. So do you remember the Ultimates, the alternate time, alternate universe where they try to make things a little bit more real and a little bit more gritty?
I remember a lot of our Ultimate notes throughout the podcast have been about wardrobes.
Yeah. And they pull a lot from the Ultimates in terms of wardrobes and costumes and things. In the second Ultimate series. So the one that they really pulled from was Ultimates 1. That's, how they put together a team. That's where a lot of the costumes came. In the second one, Black Widow is revealed to be a spy on the Ultimates. And so as part of the turn, she kills Hawkeye's family, who Hawkeye later kills her in revenge.
Obviously.
The Ultimate series goes completely off the rails following the first one.
Okay.
And it got to the point where it required a soft reboot,
Mm-hmm.
which was also when the only series that was really chugging along and performing well and telling a cohesive story was the Ultimate Spider-Man series.
Sure.
And later, eventually, they killed off Peter Parker in that series to make way for Miles Morales. But yeah, this is just
okay.
Just ignore it.
All right. I'm ignoring it. All right. So that's all I have for comic connections, and let's get into some MCU stuff. But
Yeah.
I guarantee you this is just going to turn into us talking about the movie again, which is fine because there's still more stuff to unpack. I always lead off. Why don't you give me something?
I guess does the inclusion, we kind of touched on this one, but does the inclusion of Thor: The Dark World, that scene, and then the Ancient One from Doctor Strange make those more forgotten movies more important now in retrospect?
The Thor one makes me just feel like it doesn't make me want to watch the movie again.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't really add anything to that movie for me. The one with the Ancient One was a little bit more interesting because she already knows her end, and she's never, and the whole fact that she doesn't know, she knows how she ends. She doesn't know beyond that, but she knows what Strange is going to become. And she knows that if Strange gave the stone away, then she's wrong. She needs to do what she needs to follow along.
Yes.
I liked that. I thought that was a lot more interesting. The Thor stuff was just kind of like, hey, we're back here.
Yeah.
It's almost like in Back to the Future 2 when it's not George McFly because they couldn't get, because Chris McGlover didn't want to do it. And they had George McFly be upside down. And you're like, oh my God, that's him. But it's stuff like that. So even though it still works.
Yeah.
I appreciated the Ancient One more. Plus, let's be honest, the Ancient One is more of an exposition scene too, because it talks about the alternate realities. It gives Banner the reason why they have to go back and replace it. So it sets up the whole Cap stuff at the end. So that's a little bit more within tune of the story. I guess.
The Thor scene is a little bit more catharsis for only Thor.
Right.
And then again, it's played by laughs with Rocket running. Like Rocket goes, it doesn't really do anything on that team. Like he's just there to go. He goes off screen and then he comes running back into screen.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that one. I do appreciate more the Doctor Strange piece than the Thor piece.
So the show Loki starting off when he takes the Tesseract, right?
Yes.
Okay. Was that always the intent?
Probably.
Okay. So when they're doing the movie and the Tesseract gets loose and Loki grabs it and leaves, you're telling me that they were like, well, then we're going to do a Loki show, right? Or they just were like, well, no, we need to get them together because we need to get Tony and his father to say goodbye. Because they have to go back to.
I think maybe they said, oh, well, what if Loki picks it up? And then somebody probably said, okay, but what if we also take that thread somewhere else and give him another movie or a show?
But here's the thing. But when Loki takes the Tesseract, which I'm fine with the whole setting up Loki's story. Okay, they want to have a show with Loki, fine, whatever. That Tesseract needs to come back in order to continue. How's that happening? Because Cap's not doing that. Cap's bringing it back to the base.
He's bringing it back to 1970.
So Loki has disrupted the timeline, and nobody is talking about how we're going to fix that. And if you're telling me it's going to be explained to Loki, fine. But
it's going to be. I think it's going to be explained to Loki.
All right.
So the trailers indicate that he's been captured by like time masters who are.
He's like going to be solving crimes and stuff, right?
Time crimes.
Yeah.
Time crimes.
All right.
Loki, time crime detective.
Oh man, is he gonna be like Jean-Claude Van Damme in Time Cop, doing splits?
Probably.
Did you see Time Cop?
No.
You've never seen Time Cop?
I've never seen Time Cop.
It's not. I'm not telling you right now. It's one of the better Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, but it's not like we're not talking Citizen Kane here, but
No, but I think a lot of moments in this setup, the 3 core Disney Plus shows. We just talked about Loki. The second one being WandaVision. She has 2 moments in this, which one was I love the scene where she confronts Thanos and she's like, you took everything from me. And he's just like, I don't know who you are. That was fantastic. But we see that her powers are increased when she's upset and she's angry and she starts hurling her red magic at him.
Yeah.
And so you also have the exchange at the end between her and Jeremy Renner, which if you want more of Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner, go check out Wind River.
Oh,
excellent movie.
That's a great film.
Yeah.
That has such an awesome ending.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
But she says in it, they're like, oh, if only they knew that we won. And she's like, well, they do. So,
they're he's referencing Natasha. She's referencing her
Vision.
Brother.
Yeah. No, Vision.
What about her brother? See, that's the thing. Like,
you kind of forget about the brother.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sitting there going, so who are we talking about? The brother? It's got to be the brother. Vision? We're just whatever.
I think it was Vision.
That's messed What about her brother?
We don't talk about that here.
No, apparently, whatever. I'll tell you this. There was no mention of Sokovia Accords in this movie, so we're good.
So spoilers for, I think, the third episode of WandaVision.
They
mentioned Sokovia, and I was just about to text Mike. So in the show, Monica Rambeau is this character Geraldine in the WandaVision world, and she says something about Pietro, and Wanda slips into her Sokovian accent and says, Pietro, no, who are you? Get out of here. We don't talk about him.
Anyways, moving
That's the
on.
same case in this film. We don't talk about Pietro.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, go ahead.
no, I was going to say Sam and Bucky they're setting up the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
That show, which we have not seen, and maybe it's out by the time this is out, but that show feels like it's like an 80s action
I hope so.
A-team show. You know what I
hope
mean?
so.
Like, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. That show feels like it's on its own and it doesn't have any connection to anything. We're just off doing our own thing.
Fine with me.
I'm fine with that too.
I wanted to be Burn Notice meets Jack Ryan.
Burn Notice is good in the beginning.
Yeah, it is.
Let me take this note. So the reason why, which is the explanation that I was given, that Sam can tell Captain on your left, which everyone loves, is because Shuri gives him that technology. Like, that's the whole reason why he can communicate with them.
Oh, you mean
Their
headset,
explanation, the explanation that I'm given in these notes is that the reason why he can talk to him is because Shuri's gave him that, because the technology, like, because they were in Wakanda. Like, that's such a, like,
I don't need that.
I know.
I don't need that.
That's what I'm saying. Just to get to the point of the Endgame when they all come back. It's fantastic when they all come back. Yes. Everyone loves it. But these people have not been in this movie for 2.5 hours. And they just show up. And, you're supposed to, like, when you talk about Scarlet Witch, you took everything. You're just like, well, I have to remember back to watching the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in the first time when she kills Vision, like all the goodness of the first fight between when Black Panther and Captain America were fighting and they're running. That was an awesome scene, but like that's lost now. And here's the other thing. The army they bring is just the Wakandan army.
No, they bring the
who else?
Doctor Strange's some of the
on. There are like 30 of those guys and they're just doing the shields and stuff.
Did you want more? Is this everyone?
All I'm saying is
they also bring whatever they bring space armies.
What space army?
Korg has some space army people.
Okay, so we're supposed to assume that they called all these other people when Captain Marvel showed up. She brought a group with her.
No.
Exactly.
Korg is in one of the portals.
All I'm saying is that the Avengers owe a lot to the Wakandan army because
they
the
do.
Wakandan army is what fought in the first one in the Infinity War, and they fought in this one, and it's like you better be doing something to help them out because they probably lost a lot of people.
Yes, they did. And then all those people who blipped away and then blipped back, now they're just going to get up and get ready to fight.
That's the thing too, because we talk about, and I don't want to keep talking about WandaVision, but when they show the Monica Rambeau stuff and they're blipping back, that was probably the best way I've seen it when they come back, because everyone's just like, they don't know they've been gone for 5 years.
Right.
And they're all bumping into each other. That's the thing. It's disorienting.
Yes.
Like you've all just come back. You didn't realize you were gone. And then someone's got to explain to you, you've been gone for 5 years.
Right.
By the way, we need to go fight. So let's go.
Well, and then the other thing that happens that's a nice, really short little line in WandaVision is when the director of S.W.O.R.D. says to Monica Rambeau, it's been 3 days since everyone blipped back. You're the first one to come back to work. So
he says 3 weeks. But yes.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks.
Yeah,
but even so that makes it even,
yeah, people
aren't coming back to their normal lives right away.
Right. Exactly. Like it's so I thought they did that well in the show. One of my notes about the blip. So they call it the blip, right?
They call it the blip.
Yeah. And they kind of reference it a little in Far From Home, which is next week. So when Scott Lang is walking around and he's looking for everything, trash is all over the place. Like everything, like it's like
blipped out the entire sanitation.
Everything's like it's almost like civilization is lost. Okay, fine, but you had time to build a giant memorial,
but then take down the trash
for all these people that died and like. That project takes at least 1.5 years to do, maybe 2.
If not more, to get the congressional
nobody
decided.
Nobody decided to take over the waste management of the town. You can't like when they show like City Field, and the only reason they show City Field is because Syndergaard's a pitcher for the Mets, and his nickname is Thor, and that's a big connection with that. That's why they do. That's why City Field's a Met. That's why it's there.
Also, it was already empty to begin with. So it's not like-
very funny, Pat. Very funny. Anyways,
Mike's a Mets fan.
I am. And your Red Sox suck. So anyways, but they go over it and you just see like, it's like all these cars, everything's desolate. It's like, so is it this bad or is it not this bad?
Yeah.
Like, what's the balance of where we are in 5 years?
The only argument that I could make in Endgame is that when all these characters that they brought back to make this fight happen, they had all blipped out for the most part while they were fighting Thanos. All the Wakandans, all the remaining Avengers, they knew the story. So like when Valkyrie, she didn't get blipped out, but I imagine Wong or Strange went to her and said, hey, we got to go fight. The Avengers need us. She hops on her Pegasus and says, let's go.
Where is her Pegasus been, by the way?
I don't know.
I didn't see it when they visited New Asgard.
So I think, when Tony pops back, so when you're, or not Tony, when Spider-Man and all the characters in the Guardians that were on Titan, the last thing they remember is feeling a little ill, and then they're there. So they're not mass they're not blipping back.
They just disappear. They don't understand what's happening. Yeah.
Right. They disappeared for like
Spider-Man's the only one that says something, and they explain that because of his spidey sense.
You're right.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I felt a little weird, but and same thing with the Wakandans, they disappeared, but last thing that they remembered, they were in the fight against Thanos.
Right.
So to grab them and say, hey, it's time to go fight, I can see that argument. I can see why they were.
But aren't they tired?
I don't know. So
it's not as it's more meaningful for the people who have been fighting for like Cap, who's been, and the audience. But for people showing up, it's like, oh, here we go again. It's not as like, yeah, it's just like, oh man.
They all look very refreshed and relaxed.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. Nobody had any injuries from Infinity War.
Yeah.
From that, when they get blipped back and they're like, like they're still like banged up. We gotta go. What? No, I can't. Speaking of that, so apparently Hulk's arm damage is irreparable. His arm is going to be like that forever now.
For the She-Hulk series.
I would assume, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which we saw that with Thanos, because when he did it and then he destroyed it again, he's like, oh, this almost killed me.
Right.
And, he tried to say that it, took my, I have the gamma radiation, I can absorb this, but it still wrecked them.
Couple things. While we're on Hulk, I thought you can't hold a stone.
What do you mean?
One of the stones.
You can't hold the stones.
You can't. In Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
He's too. Humans can't hold a stone because it would disintegrate him. But because he's part ego, part
right,
he was able to withstand it. But he was still like kind of like burning up. That's the whole thing. Okay. And when Thanos grabs physically grabs the stone in this one, you can tell it affects him, and then he uses to punch Captain Marvel. Okay. Yeah. But when the Ancient One gives the Time Stone to Banner, it's just like, yep, all right, thanks. There's no issue. She takes it out of the thing. It floats out. He holds it. And it's just like, yeah, I know he's not holding it, but eventually he's going to hold it. But we don't say anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. They didn't pick up any type of containment unit for any of these things.
Yeah. So I don't understand why we're just, Mike, it's a movie. Okay, fine. But still.
No, that's a good point.
My other thing with Hulk is I'm not a huge fan of the Smart Hulk.
Neither am I.
Like the joke when they're doing the selfies and then the joke carries on with Scott Lang. I was just like, please end this joke. This joke's not funny. This whole selfie crap is not funny.
It was a painful little skit.
It's dumb.
I feel bad for the whole character because they just do everything to him off screen.
Yeah.
And I know that's part of.
And they make him goof on him and cut you off. Yeah. But they make him goofy.
They do make him
when he's trying to like do the time travel thing. I don't know what's going on. Come on. Yeah. Like
and then he's time travel. And it's like, it just.
When did this happen?
What they do to Hulk is really unfortunate.
Well, the whole Banner character throughout the time when you first meet him, I'm not talking about Ed Norton, but yeah, actually we should talk about that. He is serious. He is, upset, depressed, and he just gradually turns into this goofball at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like there's never been really a moment where he has come to terms with himself. Oh, wait, no, there is, but it was off screen between Infinity War and Endgame, and now we're supposed to accept it.
Yeah.
You're right. It's really kind of unfortunate.
Especially when they line him up as one of the big 6 Avengers.
Yeah.
And even if, I know Black Widow hasn't gotten her movie yet, and who knows when that'll come out, but within the story of the film, we're able to get a complete picture about her from all, if you go back to
Black Widow.
You go back to Avengers, then go into Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron.
Even back to Iron Man 3. Right?
Iron Man 2, yeah.
Iron Man 2, right. Yeah.
So you get you're able to see in these little pieces of her, and same thing with Hawkeye, in these little pockets of screen time that they were able to get without having a solo movie.
Right.
You get a full story with them. They can come to terms with their journey. Hulk, you don't get that.
You don't get any of that. You don't get any. He never goes back to Betty Ross or whatever. He never goes back to, we see Thunderbolt constantly.
Yep.
But there's never a scene with him with Banner.
Thunderbolt's at the funeral.
He's at the funeral for crying out loud. But we never see any kind of scene between Banner and Thunderbolt.
Right.
Hey, how's Betty doing? Like nothing.
Nothing.
Like it's just kind of like completely, we're not talking about her. Like we moved on. Like, so yeah, it's not good. It's I mean, I'm going to say it. It's not, they could have done better. They should have done more. So that's a lot of my notes. I do want to go back to the all-female Avengers scene, not to throw shade on it. We've already talked about, not in a bad way. We've talked about it from all angles, but I'm talking about within the movie. Why is Gamora there? She doesn't know any of these people.
This is 2014 Gamora.
She just shows up. She's there. He'll help you out. You don't know any of these people. Okay. Number one, why is she there? Why is Hope there? Isn't she doing other things? Isn't she supposed to be helping Scott? She was like in the explosion.
Yeah, first of all, you're right about Gamora, because she's not even good Gamora from the Guardians. She's 2014 Gamora pre-Guardians.
She knows that she hates Thanos.
Yes.
And she knows she's going to do everything to stop Thanos, and because she doesn't want that to happen. But she's not really aligned with anybody else. She's, what I mean?
You think she'd just want to get out of there.
And here's the other thing. When Iron Man snaps his fingers,
why doesn't she
go? Yeah.
Yeah.
How does he know? Like, who's deciding whether that she's no, she was actually doing some good stuff.
Why isn't Tony just thinking, snap away all of Thanos' army? And then that's it. Like, that's his thought. How is he saying, snap away all of Thanos' army, except for that green chick that kicked Peter Quill in the balls?
Don't do that, girl, because she's really cool. So, yeah. And don't do,
services the plot.
Yeah, exactly.
Services the plot there. Which... I want to end on this one when Tony snaps his fingers and says, "I am Iron Man."
Right.
That was filmed in post-production.
That was a reshoot.
That was a reshoot. The editor said, "This isn't really working. This isn't, this doesn't work for us." How was that a reshoot? Why was that not the first line written of this script?
He didn't want to do it too.
I know he didn't want to do it, but why? I don't understand why that wasn't. That's the central line throughout all these movies: is Tony coming to terms with being Iron Man. Understanding what his path was and being the hero and finally sacrificing it all. And he's tried to, and Captain America calls him out in Avengers. You don't want to be the one to make the sacrifice play.
Yeah.
So many times Tony's been trying to save the world from the Endgame, which is Thanos. He finally says it.
Because Thanos has been in his head.
Yeah, because Thanos has been in his head. Why is this not the first line of this script written?
I don't know. Because a lot of this script is hindsight rationalization about why things are happening. And the fact that, I get it. All scripts start weird. All stories start weird. But the fact that you're just like, I just wish I could kill Thanos, and that kind of set off the events.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. You have your main characters we talk about this all the time. Your main characters are Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Tony Stark as Iron Man. Those are the two mains all the time. And Cap's arc is getting a life, which is why you have his ending where he goes and gets a life. And Tony's arc is, will he ever sacrifice his own life because he's selfish? And then you have that arc. So it makes absolute sense what happens at the end, even though I cannot stand when Cap leaves. It's just ridiculous. But anyways, so yes, him saying I am Iron Man. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do that. He didn't think he could get back to that place to do that scene. I can't remember who he talked to, but I don't know if it was another actor or director or somebody and helped him realize, understand, go back and do it. But he didn't think he could do it. He didn't think he could go back and get to that moment, I guess. What would you think? How about this, Pat?
Yeah.
Rank the iconic moments in Endgame. Like, I don't even know how many there would be.
Yeah.
Is that up there? Is that number one? His snap? Is it Cap getting the hammer?
I think the most iconic is probably the portal scene where Cap is standing there. Well, even before on your left, where Cap is standing there with a broken shield and a hammer, and he straps that to his broken arm, the shield to his broken arm, and he's just going to stand there, and he sees the whole army coming, and then the portals open up. And I think with the music playing, and then Falcon comes out and says "on your left." That's the most iconic scene
in the entire movie.
Okay. After that, it's the "I am Iron Man" with the snap scene. Then after that, it's probably Cap picking up the hammer for the first time and fighting. I really don't think any of the moments where they go back in time are that iconic because we've seen them before. But having the exchange between maybe number 4 would be Cap and Peggy.
The dancing. And
You're then 5 would probably be some of the moments back in the 70s.
With him and Howard Stark?
Yeah.
No. Stanley's cameo driving by screaming?
No. Where would you do it?
I do it. I would think number 1 is the first openly gay character, Joe Russo, telling about it. I was kidding. No. I actually like the hammer more when he grabs the hammer and then Thor yelling, "I knew it."
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was a really good moment. I don't know if I consider the "on your left" moment or right there when iconic. Yeah. I think it's a great moment, but I don't know if I would put it as an iconic status. So the hammer, the snap is pretty good. It's just my problem with the snap is he takes so long to say it.
Yeah.
I am. Hang on for a second. I got to check the watch. Iron Man. It just takes so long because you know it's coming.
Yeah.
So when you know it's coming, you kind of want it. You want it to come, and so you that line is so anticipated. As soon as he says "and I," you know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So you want that line to come faster. So that was my only thing with just the line read, but that's me. Who cares what I think? You don't think Captain Marvel? You don't think the guns coming up for Captain Marvel coming in is a good? I like that moment.
Okay.
I also like.
I mean, we could put that one after my.
I like the moment where Tony realizes what he has to do and he looks to Strange and Strange puts the one finger up. That's a nice moment because he's like basically telling him, "You gotta die."
Yeah,
that's a nice moment. The realization of knowing like what you have to do is probably more devastating than actually just doing it.
Yes,
because you know what I mean. So just when he realizes what has to happen. I think that was probably a little bit stronger. Yeah, I don't like none of the Thor stuff. I like when he fights or when he becomes the thing. I don't care. Yeah, you know.
I mean, it's nice to see when he wields both hands when he dual wields the hammers, but I wouldn't put that towards the top.
Well, when he's like sitting there at the top of the hill and Thanos is, I love Thanos. You know, just I'm just gonna sit here and wait. Why? For the story. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. They're gonna come to me.
Yeah, and Thor's sitting there with his hands in his pockets and waiting, and then he like and everything comes down. Yeah. Like that's nice, but that's not really iconic. Yeah. When the battle starts, it's just
chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of chaos.
Like the Spider-Man stuff. I know I'm supposed to love when Spidey comes back, but like that whole scene when they come through the hole. And Strange flies in and they all have their different entries. And like all I'm looking at is Mantis going like this. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you fighting with? And she's just like, you know, like that stuff.
She's an empath. She doesn't have any abilities that are going to help her. She comes in and
she does this move. And I'm like, what are you going to do? And Spider-Man, that doesn't really get to me.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's instant kill moment where he finally uses the instant kill thing. Okay. I don't mind Brie Larson in this movie. I think she's funny when she's like,
fine. I like her. You know what I really like in the beginning when she shows up and Thor calls for Stormbreaker and it just flies right past her and she doesn't blink.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool moment.
And he's like, I like
her. And I wish we had more time of those two together.
Yes.
I almost wish that it was Rocket and I don't know how this would have played because they just kind of throw Rocket off stage for 5 minutes. But if Thor and Captain Marvel went back in time together.
I'm interested to see what Captain Marvel 2 is going to be.
Yeah.
Because I think you have a lot of potential there, but we'll see what it is. But yeah, I think like those are all the moments that kind of jump out to me.
I guess we could end with this question right here because we didn't touch on it, but Harley Keener shows back up, the kid from Iron Man 3. He's at the funeral scene.
Which you don't know unless somebody knows.
Right. You don't. He's like, who is that kid? It's like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
why isn't his mom there? He got a kid drive himself?
Could be. It could be that old.
Why do you just yell at Tony and say like, you're I'm going to cure you. You're fine. You're a builder.
Who sent the invite to him though?
Hey,
like who knows that Tony was still in touch with this kid?
This is like a private memorial service. This isn't like the funeral scene you have. Like you probably had like I guarantee you the Tony Stark Iron Man funeral scene was almost like Lennon. Like, you walk up and
that's what I was reading the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and we talked about it where Peter Parker dies and that makes way for Miles Morales. His funeral is at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York.
That's what
and the
that's what you're
entire
having.
world comes there, and
That's
they
what you're
fill
having.
up St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Cathedral, which is enormous. And then you have miles of people on the outside just waiting to mourn and be there and everything. I almost wish we saw that too.
You see some of it in Far From Home in terms of like when he's overseas and you see the big banners of Tony.
Yeah.
So you do see some remnants of that. But yeah, no. That's what will happen. This is like a private
This is the
memorial service.
right.
And unless they know that Tony was like putting this kid through college or something, maybe something like that.
Could
yeah,
be.
Yeah, that's a pretty big hot invite right there. So
Yeah, right.
Like, people were pissed off because other people weren't there. So who was everyone mad about? Like because some people weren't showing up. Why wouldn't you invite this person? Why wouldn't this person be there? Why couldn't Justin Hammer be there with like Thunderbolt? Why could my two favorite guys be hanging out together?
Oh, I guess they didn't put Cassie Lang in there, which again, people need to get over the fact that Cassie Lang, this actress who played Cassie Lang, is not going to be Cassie Lang anymore. So chill out. Oh, here it is. 10 characters who should have been there. The general public we just talked about. Stark Industries employees. Why?
No, it's
Justin Hammer. This is, by the way, this is a Screen Rant article, so take this with a grain of salt.
Well, those first two are ridiculous. We just talked about this as a private memorial. And yeah, do you really think Pepper Potts wants the public at her log cabin walking around?
I mean, we want Justin Hammer there, but there's no way Justin Hammer's
me.
going to go.
Yeah, that's me because I just want to see. Can we just digitally put Sam Rockwell in the background dancing?
Here's a good one. According to the Screen Rant article, they wanted Christine Everhart. Remember the
why?
First of all,
so you want an old fling?
right? Who in that funeral is Pepper Potts, Tony's now widow, going to invite an old hookup of Tony to Tony's funeral at her log cabin?
Didn't she kick her out of the bed one time? Yeah. That's perfect. Come on, people.
This is a stretch. They're saying we wanted to see Terrence Howard back.
Oh no,
because he was the original roadie, but he was in one movie.
Come on.
This one, I kind of could see it, but the that arm robot that was
that's ridiculous. Are you kidding me? It comes in.
I mean, you could put him in the.
Maybe there's a little fire and then it pulls out the fire.
You could put him in the cabin, like near where the hologram is happening.
How about you? You know what? If I'd be okay with it if there was a garage where he built stuff, because he talks about how he has the garage. You've been in the garage again building stuff. It's probably in there.
Let's say it says any of his MIT buddies and professors who we never meet.
No.
Stanley, which I get, but you cannot find a story reason to put him there.
It would be way too distracting.
Yes, it would.
Because you at the end of the movie, after you just watch everyone and you're sad because he died, and then you put it. What are you gonna Stanley sit? Then he's like Excelsior, something like that.
And then you have to explain what he's doing there. Why he knows everybody. Yeah,
wrong.
This one then says, Tony would have wanted his Iron Man suits to be there.
No.
And then finally it ends with
Jarvis.
No, Black Widow. She should have been there.
She's dead.
I know.
Why would she? What are they gonna do? Drag her corpse from Vormir and have her there? She's dead.
I know. So yeah, I think they had everybody they needed to have.
Well, yeah, they had everyone that makes sense. I just want somebody to edit Justin Hammer in the background dancing next to Thunderbolt. That's all I want. But yeah, no, there's that.
Anthony. Okay. So
yeah, and what's funny is that while this feels like a wrap-up movie, it's not, because we're not done.
We get in the epilogue,
I
baby.
spit on you. I'm sorry. I'm leaving now because I'm done talking about Endgame. We will return next week for our Infinity Saga series finale.
Yes.
Of Spider-Man Far From Home, where Spider-Man's off in Europe doing stuff. And I think we're gonna talk about that movie, but then we're gonna take like about 15 minutes in that episode to just kind of reflect and talk about.
I mean, if you sat through all an hour and 45 minutes of this, hopefully you'll stick around for at least another.
We're not there yet, and I will edit some stuff out. So, but this is going to be this is a long episode.
Well, we appreciate you guys for sticking around and
absolutely
following us through this journey. Like Mike said, we have one more episode to go in the Infinity Saga, but for now, let's kick it over to the recommended reading.
Absolutely. All right, fine. I'll leave Pat. Jeez. All right, I'm out of here, Pat. Apologize. I wanted to have one more last plea to get Justin Hammer in at the end of the scene. Where's my Justin Hammer Disney Plus show? Okay. I'll see you guys. I'll see everyone else. I'll see you later. See you next week. Pat, take it away.
As always, at the end of each episode, we like to send you home with some recommended reading that follows up on some of the characters and plots presented in this week's film. Our recommended reading section is sponsored by Infinite Heroes, comics, cards, and collectibles in Watertown, Connecticut. If you're in the Connecticut or New England area, it's a great location to pick up comics from Marvel, as well as DC, Image, and more. They also have a large collection of trading cards, toys, and collectibles. Owner Paul Santos has worked in comics for years, most recently as an editor at DC Comics. Ask him for a recommendation and tell him we sent you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode on Avengers Endgame. Let's give you some recommended reading to take a look at. So first up, girls really do get it done. And if you know, you know. In this week's episode, we discuss the all-female Avengers team A-Force. Pick up the series by G. Willow Wilson and Marguerite Bennett to follow the team's adventures in and out of the 2015 Secret Wars crossover. Number 2, Secret Empire by Nick Spencer imagines a world completely altered by the cosmic cube where Cap really is an agent of Hydra. In this altered timeline, Cap also wields a corrupt version of Mjolnir. See how the Avengers band together to save the day and save their leader. And finally, The Infinity War, the sequel to The Infinity Gauntlet by Jim Starlin and Ron Lim. Thanos has been defeated and Adam Warlock now holds the stones. However, Adam's evil persona is unleashed, and the Avengers must face doppelgangers of themselves as they battle to save the universe. Thank you for listening. Remember to please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and we will see you next week.